I'll bet you do.
Okay, guys, get to it.
Oh, Phil, if there's anything else you'd care for me to do, just let me know.
How'd you get beat up, Mr. Lookwell?
I'm not exactly sure, Suzanne. The working class mind is strange and unpredictable.
So you didn't find out anything?
Have you ever heard of a TV pilot being too good? Or too ahead of its time? Well, that's how they described the pilot Lookwell. Conan O'Brien and Robert Smigel were behind this fascinating pilot that's become part of television history. Lookwell is historic, not because of its success, but due to its failure to go from pilot to series. This show could have changed TV comedy altogether. Years later, even Conan O'Brien shared about his own pilot's potential, which we will share with you later. So come along with us as we take a close and detailed look at the buried pilot that was too smart for TV. Many TV pilots are produced each year, but only a few go to series. What happens when a show becomes too smart for TV, or too serious for comedy? There are very talented producers who make shows that are ahead of their time. While normally you'd think that's a good thing, television networks are known for playing it safe, and while a pilot may be brilliant, a network might pass on it simply because it's too different. Lookwell had its own special circumstances that came into play that affected its own future. In the early 90s, Saturday Night Live writers Conan O'Brien and Robert Smigel created something magical. Lookwell was a single-camera comedy for NBC and aired once on July 28, 1991. It starred Adam West, who was famous for portraying Batman in the very first Batman series in the 1960s. The show tells the story of Ty Lookwell. He was a former actor who played a private investigator on a 70s TV cop drama entitled Bannigan. Ty once received an honorary detective's badge from the Los Angeles Police Department. While most crime shows in the 90s expected their lead to be wise and heroic, Lookwell chose a different path. Instead, it asked that the detective be out of touch with reality. The humor was awkward, with many cringeworthy moments revealing more profound truths about each character. The more you watched, the more you realized that Lookwell wasn't making fun of detectives alone, but the nature of fame, self-delusion, and real-life absurdity. He attempts to solve actual crimes. He believes he possesses real investigative skills because of his work on his 70s TV show. If he succeeded on TV, he could as well do it in real life, often leading to humorous situations. The show was a parody of crime procedurals and showcased Adam West's talent for self-deprecating humor. If you're enjoying this content, please hit the like and subscribe buttons so we can continue to bring you more content like this. Let's talk about the talent behind the pilot's genius premise. Two of the funniest comedians worked together to create Lookwell. Conan O'Brien and Robert Smigel were on fire in the 90s, and millions loved their work. In front of the camera was Adam West, who was a household name after his role in Batman. This pilot was a satire, and a clever one at that. Did it deserve more than it got? How could something with an engaging storyline and unique concept fail so badly? What went wrong? I'll break it down. You see, the 90s TV gave us the golden era of television. It shaped today's entertainment in ways you can't imagine. As like today, networks are looking for more shows to fill their schedules. They already had hits at the time with Cheers, The Cosby Show, The Golden Girls, etc. These shows had massive audiences, broad appeal, and a relatable story everyone loved. There was little or no room to explore other uncomfortable or different themes. The networks knew what was working, and Lookwell didn't fit that mold. Lookwell was a hard sell on paper. Robert Smigel even admitted that viewers may not want to watch it weekly. The idea of a washed-up actor who thinks he's a real-life detective? Nah. This wasn't a typical 90s sitcom. The humor was not the kind people were used to. Another apparent turnoff was the fact that it wasn't trying to be funny. The pilot relied on cleverness and a deep understanding of television tropes. It was a show that urged viewers to think deeply. When NBC aired the pilot once in July of 1991, it received dismal viewership numbers. Conan O'Brien humorously remarked that it was the second lowest-rated television show of all time, tying the ratings with a test pattern in Nova Scotia. Nielsen rated it 92nd out of 92 shows for that week. Another apparent reason for its failure was that it was ahead of its time. No doubt Lookwell was too smart. Only a few people understood its satire and self-aware wit in the 90s. It was later in the decade that this style was fully appreciated. Viewers couldn't relate to this type of dry humor. The industry favored accessible sitcoms with laugh tracks and easily digestible plots. Lookwell wasn't bothered about making you laugh in every scene. It was slower and had a more intentional buildup. Unfortunately, viewers didn't know how to respond to that. Finally, and probably the most obvious reason for its failure, was bad timing, as the pilot faced huge competition. Lookwell premiered in 1991, in the middle of the must-see TV era. As NBC dominated the television world, the audience expected sitcoms with a similar formula. Lookwell had its own new formula, and it just couldn't break through. It was the little guy fighting for relevance. While it tried to change the game, the prevailing thought was that everyone must stick to what works. It's easy to see why it was edged out. Robert Smigel had his own reasons for the show's cancellation. He said Lookwell was a victim of network politics. He added that the show lost support after NBC chairman Brandon Tartikoff, who was a proponent of the pilot, left the network before it aired. His successor, Warren Littlefield, didn't share the same enthusiasm, leading to a lack of support for the show's continuation. O'Brien boasted that the show would have changed all the rules on TV. However, he also recounted the disappointment when the pilot wasn't picked up, saying it felt like getting hit in the stomach with a baseball bat. Despite the initial setback, O'Brien later observed that Lookwell gained a cult following, with fans and comedians appreciating its unique humor and West's performance. He remarked on the irony that years later people began to recognize the pilot's value, likening it to a song that becomes a hit long after its release. But let's talk about the pilot itself. Why was it special? What made it stand out even if only a few people saw it? Lookwell was a satire of crime dramas. It didn't only parody private detective shows, it created a unique genre.
I'll bet you do.
Okay, guys, get to it.
Oh, Phil, if there's anything else you'd care for me to do, just let me know.
Huh?
This pilot was not your regular heroic or smooth-talking detective story. Ty Lookwell was the opposite, an out-of-touch former TV star who thought his acting experience could actually help him fight crimes. Think about it. He spent long hours on set, reading his script and rehearsing his role as a detective. This story exposes and satires fame, self-deception, and absurdity. These themes are relevant even in 2025. This unique storyline made the show much more than a pilot. It was mainly about the clash between a TV hero and reality. Lookwell is adored for being a hero on screen, but then he's clueless when it comes to real-life heroism. He fumbles through cases and relies on dumb luck and misinterpretation to get things done. This plot was awkward and uncomfortable. If there's one thing we can agree with, it's the fact that this pilot was brilliant. Despite that, it was a one-episode wonder. The show didn't make it past the pilot, and just like that, everything the producers dreamed of doing with the show was gone. O'Brien and Smigel did their best to make it work, but were disappointed. They understood that their audience wasn't ready for Lookwell. Adam West was also deeply affected that the show wasn't picked up. This pilot allowed him to escape his typecast as Batman and proved he could be more. He poured his heart into the role and expressed his disappointment over the network's decision, and continued to bring up the idea of resurrecting the pilot over the years. In a 2013 interview with the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, West stated that he had done like 12 pilots, and Lookwell was his favorite, calling it the funniest pilot that never got sold. Ironically, younger audiences can still see the brilliance lost in the 90s. Lookwell is more than a forgotten pilot. It now symbolizes the show that TV wasn't ready for.
I wouldn't be surprised if those cars are being painted in an auto painting shop.
Only later did people realize its potential as a comedy that's time was wasted on a society that just didn't understand the wit of the show. Lookwell is now celebrated for its boldness and unique humor. The show's meta-humor and parody style were unconventional for early 90s television. As Conan O'Brien even said at a Harvard commencement speech in 2000, that he believed Lookwell was going to change all the rules of comedy on TV. Its unique approach may have been too niche for mainstream audiences at the time. Over the years, Lookwell has garnered a cult following. Its innovative humor and West's performance have been praised by comedians and fans alike. The pilot has been circulated online and is considered a hidden gem in television history. But what do you think? Was it ahead of its time, or did it miss the mark? Let me know in the comments below.